Bang! Bang! The door shook so hard I thought it might break. It was 4:50 in the morning. Still dark outside. My phone buzzed on the table. And before I could even reach it, a woman's voice screamed through the door. "Open up! Your lease is expired!" I froze. My kids were sleeping in the back room. One of them started crying. I opened the door just a little, and there she was, arms crossed, hair messy, phone already recording my face. "You don't live here anymore," she snapped. "HOA says you're done." I looked at her and said calmly, "Ma'am, I've owned this house for 3 years. She laughed loud like I just told the dumbest joke. "No, you don't. People like you never own houses here." That line hit hard. Before I could respond, she slapped a bright orange paper on my door. Big letters. "Final eviction notice." Then she smiled. "I already called enforcement," she said. "They'll drag you out before sunrise." I felt my chest tighten. Not because I was scared, because I knew something she didn't. This house wasn't just mine. It was protected in ways she could never imagine. And she had just made a very expensive mistake. One knock can change your whole life if it's on the wrong door. 10 minutes later, 2 black SUVs rolled in without headlights. That's when I knew something was off. Real police don't move like that. Karen stood at the curb with her arms waving like she owned the street. She pointed straight at my door and yelled, "That's him! He refused to leave." 2 men stepped out. No body cams, no badge numbers. Just dark jackets with small HOA logos stitched on the side. One of them knocked once, hard. "Open up, you're being removed." I stepped outside slowly. Morning air was cold. My hands were empty. Calm. "Can I see a warrant?" I asked. The man smirked. "HOA doesn't need one." Karen laughed behind them, loud, proud. "Pack your trash and go," she said. "This neighborhood is done with you." Then she leaned closer and whispered, "Your kids shouldn't grow up watching their father fail." That's when one of the men walked past me and tried to unlock my front door. From inside, my daughter screamed. I stepped forward. "Don't touch that door." He pushed me back. Karen pulled her phone higher. "Good, touch him. I want this on video." They dragged my toolbox out of the garage, tossed it on the driveway. Then they slapped a yellow boot on my car. No warning. No papers, no rights. Neighbors' lights slowly turned on. Curtains moved. No one came out. I stood there, humiliated, angry, watching strangers take over my own home. Karen smiled like she'd already won. What she didn't know was this. Every single move she just made was being recorded, from 4 angles. And one of those cameras was streaming live to someone who didn't take threats lightly at all. Some people think power comes from shouting. Until real power starts watching, my phone vibrated again. Not a call. A message. "Don't say anything. Let them finish." I kept my face calm, even though my heart was pounding. Karen noticed and frowned. "What are you smiling at?" she snapped. "I'm not," I said. "Just tired." One of the HOA guys grabbed a clipboard and started reading loud, like he was a judge. "By authority of the neighborhood association." I cut him off. "You spelled my name wrong." He paused. Karen rolled her eyes. "Who cares? He's leaving anyway." Then she stepped closer, almost proud. "I told everyone you were renting illegally. I told them I'd handle you." She turned to the neighbors watching through their windows. "See? This is what happens when rules are broken." I looked at her and said quietly, "You really think this is your street?" She laughed. "It is. My husband helped build this place." That's when one of the men whispered something in her ear. She shook her head fast. "No, do it now." They moved toward my kids' room. That was the moment everything inside me went cold. I stepped in front of them. "You're not going in there." The man reached for his belt like he had authority. Karen shouted, "Arrest him! He's threatening you!" Her voice echoed through the street. Lights came on everywhere. Phones started recording. And then sirens. Real ones. Not close, but coming fast. Karen's smile grew bigger. "Good, real cops will finish this." She didn't see the HOA men slowly stepping back. She didn't hear the fear in one of their voices when he muttered, "This isn't good." Because at that exact moment, a black pickup turned the corner. American flag on the back, military plate on the front. And the driver already had my house pulled up on his screen. Some lies feel strong. Right until the truth shows up with a badge. The pickup stopped, right behind the SUVs. The engine didn't turn off. A man stepped out slowly, calm, solid. The kind of calm that makes noise feel small. Karen looked confused. Who is that now? He didn't answer her. He walked straight to me and said quietly, "You good?" I nodded once. That's all he needed. He turned to the HOA men. "Step away from the property." One of them laughed nervously. "Sir, this is HOA enforcement." The man reached into his jacket, not fast, not slow, and showed a badge. Not police. Federal. Karen's face dropped. "That's fake," she said quickly. "They all use fake badges." He didn't even look at her. He tapped his earpiece once. Within seconds, the sirens grew louder. Blue and red lights flooded the street. Real deputies, county cars, body cams blinking. The HOA guys backed up fast. Karen ran toward the sheriff's car, yelling, "Thank God you're here! He's refusing eviction!" The sheriff looked at her, then at me. "Morning," he said. "Didn't expect to see you again." Karen froze. "You know him?" The sheriff nodded. "Yeah, he helped train half my unit." Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. I finally spoke. "Sheriff, they tried to enter my kid's room. That changed everything." Deputies moved instantly. One pulled the HOA man aside. Another blocked Karen from recording. She screamed, "You can't touch me! I'm HOA board!" The sheriff looked straight at her. "Ma'am, HOA boards don't operate at 4:50 a.m. Silence hit the street. Neighbors stepped outside now. Karen's hands started shaking. And she still didn't know the worst part, because the sheriff hadn't even asked yet who actually owned the house. When the wrong people push too far, the truth doesn't whisper. It arrives loud. The sheriff turned to me. "Can you confirm ownership?" I reached into my phone and handed it over. Deed, tax records, 3 years paid in full. He scrolled once, then twice. "That's enough," he said. Karen rushed forward. "Those can be fake. People download those all the time." The sheriff looked at her slowly. "These came directly from the county system." Her voice cracked. But he doesn't fit." She stopped herself. Too late. Everyone heard it. The street went quiet. One deputy whispered, "Did she just say that?" Karen's face went red. "That's not what I meant." The sheriff turned to the HOA men. "Who hired you?" They didn't answer. He raised his voice. "Who hired you?" One of them pointed at Karen. She said she had authority. "She paid cash." Gasps came from the crowd. Karen screamed, "Liar! You're setting me up!" The deputy checked their jackets. No permits, no contracts, no legal standing. Then another deputy walked up holding a tablet. "Sheriff, we've got something else." He turned the screen. It was the live feed, my security cameras, every threat, every shove, every word about my kids. Karen watched herself on the screen and started stepping backward. "I was just enforcing rules," she whispered. The sheriff shook his head. "You impersonated authority, filed a false report, and attempted unlawful eviction." She tried to run. Didn't make it 3 steps. Cuffs clicked. The sound echoed louder than her screaming ever did. Neighbors stared. Some recorded. Some cried. Karen kept yelling, "This is my neighborhood!" The sheriff leaned close and said calmly, "Not anymore." And as she was placed in the back of the car, she finally looked at me, scared, because she still didn't know one last thing. This wasn't even the biggest charge coming her way. Some doors don't protect houses. They protect truth. As they put Karen in the car, she suddenly started crying. Not real tears. Panic tears. "You can't do this to me," she shouted. "My husband is on the HOA council." The sheriff paused. "Good, then he'll be easy to find." That's when the man from the pickup stepped closer again. "Actually," he said, "we already found him." Karen looked up fast. "What?" The sheriff checked his radio. "County just confirmed it. Your husband was removed from the HOA last month." Her face went blank. "Removed?" she whispered. "For fraud," the sheriff continued. "Missing funds, fake fines, illegal notices." The crowd reacted instantly. Murmurs everywhere. Karen shook her head hard. "No, that's not true. He didn't tell me anything." The sheriff looked at her gently, almost sadly. "That's because the investigation was sealed." Then he nodded toward the federal badge. "He's the reason." Karen turned slowly toward the man from the pickup. He finally looked at her. "We've been watching your HOA for 6 months," he said. "Tonight, you just gave us everything we needed." Her legs gave out. She had to be held up before being pushed into the car. One of the deputies walked over to me. "You okay?" I looked back at my house. My kids were at the window now, safe. "I am now," I said. The sheriff placed a hand on my shoulder. "You did the right thing by staying calm." As the cars started to leave, neighbors finally came close. One man whispered, "We thought you were renting." I looked at him and said quietly, "That's what she wanted you to think." The sun began to rise behind the houses, and for the first time since moving here, the street felt quiet. But justice wasn't finished yet, because what Karen did this morning was about to cost her a lot more than handcuffs. Some mornings start with fear and end with freedom. 2 days later, I thought it was finally over. I was wrong. A white envelope showed up in my mailbox. No stamp, hand-delivered. Inside was a letter from the HOA. Emergency hearing. Mandatory attendance. I almost laughed. They still thought they had power. That evening, the community hall was packed. Cameras, phones, neighbors. I had never seen before. When I walked in, the room went quiet. At the front table sat 3 HOA board members. One chair was empty. Karen's. The head of the board cleared his throat. "We're here regarding the incident." Before he could finish, the doors opened again. Everyone turned. 2 county investigators walked in, followed by the sheriff. Behind them was a man in cuffs, Karen's husband. Gasps filled the room. The sheriff spoke calmly. "This meeting is now evidence." The board members panicked. One stood up fast. "We didn't know what she was doing." The investigator placed a folder on the table. "Emails, fake fines, illegal evictions, targeting families you thought wouldn't fight back." He looked straight at them. "And it all leads here." Karen's husband dropped his head. Then he whispered something that made the whole room freeze. She wasn't supposed to do it that morning. I told her to wait. Every phone went up. The sheriff nodded slowly. "So you admit it." That was it. The meeting ended in silence. Not by choice, but by force. As people walked out, neighbors stopped me. One said quietly, "We believed her about you." I looked at him and replied, "That's how bullies win." Until they don't. Outside, the night air felt light. Because for the first time, this wasn't just about my house anymore. The whole HOA was about to fall. And the final truth was still coming. Sometimes the real eviction is corrupt power getting kicked out. A week later, the street looked different. No warning papers, no fake notices, no fear. County trucks lined the road early that morning. Officials went door to door, handing out letters. The HOA was officially dissolved. Every fine canceled. Every illegal case wiped clean. Neighbors gathered outside, reading the papers like they couldn't believe it. Then one woman walked up to me slowly. "We're sorry," she said. "We stayed quiet because we were scared." I nodded. That's how she controlled everyone. The sheriff pulled me aside before leaving. "Your footage helped more families than you know," he said. "Some were days away from losing their homes." I looked back at my house. Same walls, same door, but it felt stronger now. That night I sat on the porch with my kids. Quiet breeze, soft lights. My daughter asked, "Daddy, are they coming back?" I smiled and shook my head. "No, not ever." Across the street, the house Karen once bragged about was empty. For sale sign leaning sideways. No power, no control, no voice left to scream. I didn't celebrate. I didn't need to, because justice didn't come with noise. It came with peace. And as the sun went down, I thought about that morning, 4:50 a.m., fists banging on my door. She thought she was ending my life. Instead, she exposed her own. I didn't fight to own this home just to live in fear. I fought to live free. Months passed, but the story didn't end quietly. Local news picked up the case. Headlines splashed across papers and social media. HOA corruption exposed, family defends. Home against rogue board. Neighbors called me, some crying, some laughing. "We should have believed you sooner," one elderly man said. "You were right the whole time." Then one evening, a familiar knock came at my door. I froze. It wasn't Karen. It was the county investigator who had helped bring her down. He handed me an envelope. Inside, a letter from the state HOA Oversight Committee. They were opening a full investigation into every board, members' actions across the county. My case had triggered a chain reaction. I looked at my kids, playing in the yard, unaware of the power of what had just happened. "Daddy, can we play football tomorrow?" "Of course," I said, smiling. Karen's name came up in every report over the next few weeks. Her husband faced charges. She was banned from serving on any HOA board for life. And for the first time, I understood something deeper. It wasn't just about my house. It was about standing up when everyone else stayed silent, about showing that rules can't be twisted by fear or lies. I leaned back on the porch and watched the sunset. Freedom didn't roar. It whispered. In quiet mornings, in safe bedrooms, in children laughing without worry. And I knew one thing for certain. Some doors don't just protect homes. They protect families, truth, and justice. Power belongs to those who stand for it, not those who shout for it.